Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're in season 6, episode number 40. Tonight's the sports edition, Andy, and we have a special guest.
Yes. Coach Josh Hendrickx from the New York Mills Millers joining us once again.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be back.
Welcome.
Sorry, we're not saying congratulations, but you had a great season. We're going to talk just basically the Town Hall tournaments here.
Yeah.
You guys were in C. We'll come back to that. Us city folk down here, we don't. We just see these names sometimes. I know you didn't play these teams, but maybe a little heads up. For Class A, Morehead.
Yeah.
Is there someone to watch? Or are they coming down for a one and done, or what can you tell us?
We always seen the Morehead Brewers in the state tournament for a long time, and now it's the Mudcats, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing I know about them is Morehead they have ball players up there, but I've been following them on Twitter a little bit, and they seem like a young, energetic crew. I mean, when they hit a bomb, they're coming into the dugout, putting on a chain around the neck, holding some balls to it. And so I think they're hungry. I think they're exciting. And so I think they could be a team to watch for. Like I said, I don't know much about them, but Morehead always seems to put out a powerhouse team, and it seems like it could be them now. I know they've made the state tournament a few years in a row here, but if you follow their Twitter at all, they're eccentric, man, and they're ready to play.
All right.
They have the first round bye as well, so
Yep.
they don't have to make multiple trips down. They could just they have the first weekend off and head down as the home team for the following weekend.
Right.
Yeah, which is nice for them because that's probably a nice little drive for them.
Yeah. It's a boring drive. I used to go to school at NDSU, man. That's a boring drive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go ahead.
All right. For B, we got that's kind of where Watertown was. So they're not in the playoffs either. But B's got Ada and Nisswa, the Red River Amateur Baseball League and the Victory B League represented. What can you tell us about those two teams?
Well, Ada, I know, was over in Bluffton for the last few weekends playing in their region tournament, and so we didn't get a chance to get over there, but we heard some stuff. We talk with Bluffton quite a bit. Ada's got a tough team. They got this Oskowski pitcher who I guess first round came in. I don't remember who Ada beat in the first round of the tournament, but he was tough. And then Bluffton got him in the second or third round, and they got to see Opsal, the same guy we saw last year, who was drafted by Bemidji from Ada, and he beat Bluffton 8-2. And so, and Bluffton's a nice team. They don't have the powerhouse with the Dykoffs there. So being in Class B, I still think they put up fights, but I think they're a little outranked a little bit with some of these teams. That they definitely could compete. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but the Dykoffs weren't there to help them with that, and so they battled. But Ada's got some guys. They got some pitching, and from what I hear, they got a lot of. They're mouthy, and so I think that makes amateur ball fun.
Yep.
And it seemed to irritate a few people over in Bluffton, and so I think Ada's going to come down and not only pitch well and play well, but they're going to bring some mouth with them too.
Little fire in the belly.
Yep.
And Nisswa, what about them?
That's another. We just don't ever see Nisswa, but Nisswa's always had tough teams. I think a few years ago, maybe they had a few down years, but they've been back better and stronger. I believe they were in the state tournament last year, correct? Yep. And so, but that's just a team. We don't make our way that way really ever. Okay. We just hear about Nisswa. We know about Nisswa. I know they had that Peep Corn a few years ago. I don't know if he's still playing, but he used to be a heck of a player for them too. But Nisswa is one I probably know the least about, actually. And one team you didn't mention, but from Class B up in here, Fergus Falls as well.
Yes. I'll see what I got here. If I pull it up, just a second here. Whoops, wrong button. Work with me. Here's the brackets. Like I said, Morehead plays that round. And Fergus, they play the winner of the Nisswa Kimball game.
Yeah.
So Fergus will be playing now the next weekend.
What do you guys know about Kimball? Anything?
Not much. They're a decent team. They're decent. It's going to be a good game with Nisswa, but I think Fergus will take them in the second round.
Okay. Yeah, see, Fergus Falls, they're an entry almost every year. I think this is 10 years in a row they've made the state tournament now, and They've made a few runs here and there, but they're definitely a consistent entrant. So it'd be interesting to see, nice to see them to make another run. We know a few of those boys. Some of our guys played against some of those boys in college up in Mayville. They played together. Darren Stanslowski, they're probably their number one pitcher. Played with my brother-in-law up in Mayville. And we just have – Fergus used to be in the countryside, and that was the other league that we used to pair with and play with all the time. And we took our licks from Fergus for years, man.
Now, you guys had a little change that I wanted to see where you guys had to play with a different league, if you will, combined with the Resorts League. And so
Resorters?
what can you tell us about Ada? Or not Ada, but Urbank coming in now. They won the one-year division, is that correct?
Yeah. Well, no, they would take second. Sauk Centre won it.
Second.
Yep.
So how would you rank Urbank? Who should we look for there?
Well, I think they got a tough draw here with LeSueur, but they got some pitching. They got some left-handed guys. We saw Alex Kep, and he didn't start, but he came in about the fifth or sixth inning, man, and he was throwing mid to upper 80s, and he was just chucking hard. And so he pitches well. They got a couple other lefties. That's all we saw from them was lefties. But they got guys who can pitch and hit. I think Urbank could be a scary team. I just don't like the draw they got here with LeSueur right away. I think they're pretty tough from what I've read and heard. But I think they could surprise some people. They're feisty. I hate to say that we shot ourselves in the foot against them to take. I don't want to take anything away from Urbank. They battled back all game against us. But I think they can be a team that, if they can get through this first round, they have a chance, I think, to make a little noise there.
All right. What about Sauk Centre?
Sauk's another tough team, man. They were, last year, I think they made a run in the state tournament a couple years ago. They were preseason ranked in and out all year. I think they had an up and down year wins wise, but they're tough. They got guys who can play. They got guys who can hit. We held them in check, but we threw our best guy, Jonah Johnson. He's a tough lefty for us, and they struggled with him to square him up, but they put a few more balls in play than we did. I like their draw a little more. And with that, both those teams drafted a couple of our guys. And so that'll be nice to follow them. We might have a couple guys that go down and watch both them teams play just because we got some guys on that team. I'm just going to make sure I get it right here. But we have – yeah. Darren Gaudette will be going to Urbank for us.
Okay.
And Logan Small. Okay. Both guys who didn't really pitch much in the region tournament for us. Logan Small started last year in the state tournament game for us against Bemidji, pitched really well, was our number one last year all year. But this year just had control issues, confidence issues, and we had other guys come up, and we just didn't need for Logan to pitch much this year. He probably only had about 12 innings and none in the region tournament. And that wasn't the reason we weren't successful. But Logan's a sneaky draft pick. If he can come in and throw strikes, I mean, he could be a nice draft pick for them. Darren Gaudette, another one, our shortstop leadoff hitter, didn't throw much for us this year, but teams know these guys now and know that they've thrown in the past and know that they can, come in and get a couple outs if they need them to. And so those guys are taken by Urbank. And then Austin Manival, who's been, he's our vet. He's our 29-year-old vet, been pitching since he was 16 years old for us. He still shoves, man. He's just a crafty guy. He'll be pitching for Sauk Centre. So we had a nice draft. I think teams were a little excited when the Millers lose out. We had two other guys, Jonah Johnson, our number one, who is not able to make the tournament, so he would have been asked to be drafted. And then even Deshaun Robinson from us, he pitched well for us in this region tournament, but nobody knows his name yet. He's just graduated, pitched 1 year at Alec Tech this last school year, and so he'll be another name to watch for as well. But I think both teams got some nice guys that'll help them from us, and so it'll be nice to watch both those teams hopefully go make some noise. I think they both can. Like I said, the LeSueur draw I think is tough, but who knows, man? I don't know anything about them. It's all what you read, and so you just got to play the game still. So,
yeah. Now this year with your district, you guys were a district, I think, for C district regions. I get all missed up.
Yeah.
In C, you had the high 10, and you had the Resort League. Now, I saw there was some here in B. It was 2 that were matched, but for state, they said, hey, you take at least 2 from one conference, 1 from the other. You guys, it was both teams from the resorts.
Yep.
Are you okay with that? Is that something you're going to go to the meetings next year going, hey, we got to take 1 high 10, 1 resort? Or do you let it fall where it may?
No, we're good with it. The high 10 had his chances. We had Perm in the championship game with Sauk Centre. We had our shot at Sauk and Urbank. Deer Creek had their shot at Sauk and Urbank. And so, nope, I don't think that's something we'll do. We look at it like, hey, man, you go win your games and you'll get in. We do know that the resorters, the top 2 teams for sure was Sauk and Urbank. We didn't see anybody else. Those are the only 2 we ran into. We saw Clarissa and Henning from the high 10, but the resorters top 2 for sure make our region tougher. We lost that Lake and Pine with Midway, Sabika, Nimrod, and there's some good teams there, but those teams are only playing 10 or 12 games a year. They're at that point where Sauk and Urbank coming in, it makes our region a lot more difficult to win, which is good. It makes it better for baseball. So,
did you guys have a lot of exhibition games against B clubs or A clubs at all? Or did you
we played Detroit Lakes, which they're still C club, but I think they were B prior. I'm not sure, but we played them. But other than that, our schedule is full with high 10, and then we still played the Lake and Pine because with the whole mix-up, they were supposed to – their league is Roseau and War Road, and they weren't going to travel up there to play regular season games, especially this year until they get things more figured out and used to how things could be. So we still included them into our league schedule, and so even though they aren't in our region. So we were full with all of those games. A few teams added Urbank and Sauk during the regular season, which we're going to look to do more next year because I'm not sure. I haven't heard, but I don't think things are going to change too much the way it sounds.
No, I know from talking to folks around down here, because a lot of B's played C's and A, you played an A just to get games in.
Do they just do a point system with that then, or
what it is for B, only your games in B counted. Now, if you played a C team or an A team and you were B, that counts as a game played for number of games played to qualify for state as a player.
Okay.
But it didn't count in your standings or your stats or stuff.
Okay.
Your overall record, it did, but not in the league win-loss record. Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of us thought like, hey, you got to come up with something different because I'd go to some B against C teams or B against A, and you're watching practice. They brought the third stringers to play just to get their games in. Well, if you do that, it's like watching exhibition football. Don't charge the full price of the gate then. You know?
Right. I thought I saw it. I don't know if you guys follow Town Ball Tuesdays at all, Rhino on. But he had tweeted something about, is there a DRS league or something that was doing a point system to take care of all of that?
Yep, that's what DRS did. I said that in River Valley where they said so many from each have to make the state.
Okay.
I thought some of the guys here, I said, hey, if you play a B and it plays a C, if C wins, they should at least get like a half point. Kind of like in hockey, you get a point for a tie.
That's what they did. That's what they did during the season. So they had a standings, Josh. They had a standings as the year went on with all the A, B, and C commingled with the weighted points.
Okay.
And then Veseli comes out and wins the DRS, which they never would have normally anyway, but because their games were weighted that way. So that's probably the tweet you're referring to with the picture that was posted. They won it. Technically, they won the league, but it wasn't for anything. They have a trophy, but they did a weighted system. So some conferences are going with that, weighting your wins and weighting your losses depending on the class you're playing. So the Veseli Warriors did win the DRS technically.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting if more leagues catch on that, where if they have mixed classes like that.
Yeah. Now, what do you
we'll
think
see
of
how
that goes.
The Steves, St. Stephen Steves, 2 wins, they make it, they win it, they run the state with a first round bye.
Holly's not much different. I think Holly had 5 regular season wins, and they might have doubled it in the region tournament. And they're going too. So
that's what makes the region tournaments fun. That's like watching the NCAA tournament that first weekend. That's why you got to watch it.
Well, even for us,
never been. Ahead. And St. Stephen, the Steves, they end up drafting Matt Todges now to pitch, the stud up there. So they drafted him besides having only low number of wins. they're going to be a team now to watch with the pitching depth that they have with Todges on the hill after the draft pick. They're going to be a tough team now.
Yeah. And pitching's huge in state tournament. You guys know that.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. We saw it last year. We saw it a few years ago. I mean, about 3 years ago when Watertown was in the finals against Sobolewski, who never used any of their own pitchers in the playoffs, it felt like, and one of our guys last year, Pat Cheetah, he's playing with Plato again this year. And you feel bad for him because a lot of times the draftees are relief pitchers, not the starters,
Sure. Yep.
You're coming in picking up the mess. So it's like a lot of pressure on those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Very, very rarely do you see the draftees start, but it does happen. So were you happy now with this new split with B's and C's this year?
I think the biggest thing for us, our battle last year, was still just what was going on with Bluffton, and what happened to Midway just being pushed up way up, or Midway, I mean the Lake and Pine just being pushed up there with everything we established here. I like the size of the state tournament for Class C. I like that I've seen a lot of teams in there that I haven't seen before. But then also, I don't mind us joining the resorters. That I think that works well. It makes it more competitive for us. So overall, I think now that the season's had its time and people have had a chance to see this, I think there's some positives to some of this. I think if you still go talk to Bluffton, they're going to completely disagree with all of it. But us personally, I enjoyed our region tournament. It felt competitive. Every game felt on edge. And so I think, but also it would have been, this was the year we felt a little bit of an expectation because of the size of the state tournament this year, because of the teams that got moved up. You look at Bemidji moved up to Class B. They beat us last year. The year before, Sartell knocked us out. They're in Class A now. And so all of these teams that happened to have beat us in the last few years, they're not in the tournament this year. And so that's why we felt, I think, somewhat too much of a little bit of an expectation to try to get there this year because there's a chance to make a little more moves. And so I think overall, we like the changes with it. We don't mind playing the resorters. We like the size of the state tournament now, those types of things. So, last time we talked, I don't think it felt that like that, I guess.
It's like meeting the in-laws, but now after a couple of Christmases, it's okay. You get along with them,
We can handle it. We can make it work, I suppose.
How was Josh, how was the attendance for the tournament? That was one of the unknowns you guys were thinking about as well.
That's the one thing that we noticed was down big time. Okay. Our attendance was absolutely putrid, to be honest.
Wow.
And if you talk to Dave Peterson, who is an umpire up here, does a lot of games. He's on Twitter too. We had a lot of regions in our area, though. We had our region in 11C. We had 5B with Bluffton's region. And then up in Detroit Lakes, they had I'm not sure what region it was, had theirs going on too. So we had a lot of baseball going on in here. And every place claimed that the attendance was just terrible. But I don't know if that's because we had so much going on in 3 different locations.
Right.
But those were also 3 different regions too. So we didn't mingle with any of them, so I'm not sure if that affected it or not. I think some of it at ours was on our fault with how much we spread our games out and not having them in 2 locations. We tried to get teams that haven't hosted before a chance to host. Henning has done a heck of a job to their field, done a lot of work, and even though they're not a top team to tend to host in our region, we want to give them a chance because they've done so much good work over there. So they hosted, then we hosted, Perm host, Deer Creek host. I think personally for us, we spread out too much, but not having Bluffton with us playing, I mean, they just draw. They draw big time. And then if you do happen to get a Mills Bluffton or a Mills Deer Creek game, there's a big crowds. And when you remove Bluffton from that, it just didn't carry as much weight. But also, I think the resorters and the high 10 are just still getting to know each other. And so I think there's some unfamiliarity with just everything. So if this is the way it stays, maybe that fan base will build up. Maybe rivalries will become more about, and that will help with all of that. But yeah, the attendance was way down, unfortunately.
I know I made it up for one of your games this year. It was a road game, and we were there. And this is the greatest thing about town ball. Your first base was out there, who's also a teacher, I believe, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Well, as you're cheering for town ball names, you're just going by first names.
Right.
Josh, Kevin. Well, his students were there, and they didn't have to call him Mr. So-and-so. They're like, hey, come on, and using his first name. They thought that was great. They didn't have to call him Mr. That was so fun watching the kids get into that,
Yeah, and you should hear those. One of those is my son, and so yep.
But that's what's great about the smaller towns. Talking about the kids and the family. You guys travel well with your fans. To see the kids getting into it, not just off playing in the background because mom and dad are watching the game. Your kids were watching the game; they were into it.
Yes.
That's what's great about town ball up there.
Yeah, my son will come home and Dad, did you see Logan hit that home run? I'm like, yes, son, I was in the dugout, So, but I'm like, and even we were just talking about our loss to Sauk in Urbank with my son and my daughter, just talking baseball. And both those mistakes we had happen in both those games, second and third, it happened with 2 outs. So guys are on the move. If those mistakes happen with 1 out or no outs, those guys don't score. And so I question my kids on that. Like, how is a guy on second base able to score with a short fly ball hit to center field? Well, because he's running with 2 outs, right? And if the ball is dropped, he scored. But we're having those conversations, and they're in the games, and they know all the players, and all the players know my kids and all the other younger kids that come along. I mean, everybody there's on a first name basis, and then they do love it. They get to call the teacher by his first name, or sometimes like, "Come on, Hawk, do better," or they get to razz him.
Yeah. So that's what I thought. I think it was just great watching games up there. I love watching you guys play. Had a good time up there.
Great.
Next year, we'll see you down here. But like I said,
you guys need to make it up for a 4th of July game if you get a chance.
Okay.
And if you have a camper or something, there's camping right in our park. And you got to get up here for a Bluffton Millers 4th of July game. It's usually on the 3rd of July we do it, but fireworks to follow. I mean, and the crowd is huge, and guys aren't afraid to let it fly. I mean, that's the night where everybody in town, the banker, all the way down to the farmers, having beers and letting it fly, And so.
Yep. From play ball to the final out, nobody's friends. After that,
maybe in the plans for that. That would be good. Now, Andy, I have a couple more questions here for Josh before he takes off. Now, one is, how do you like the format where there's Class A and B have first round buys, Class C no buys? It's battling it out from the opening weekend. I love that. What's your thought on that?
I actually love that too. After we lost out, the only conversation was with my wife, because she's leaving on a trip here in the next 3 days, was, oh my gosh, now we don't have to worry about, you playing ball this weekend. And I said, well, honey, if we got in, we would have had to play either way because there's no buys this year. And so, I do like that. I didn't like taking 2 weeks off, to go play that one game. And then if you do win, you play only one game, right? And then you got to go another week. And so, I said, let's just get into it and let's just get after it. So I like that. Hopefully next year we get to experience that. But I do like that format. I was never really, you played for that bye because it meant you got the one seed, but I'm not sure teams always wanted that. They wanted to get down and play. And if you win that one game, teams like us don't always tend to win very much down in the state tournament. So if you win that first round, even if you're the 2 seed, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, And when we beat Regal 2 years ago, and we were going to go up against Sartell, and they handed it to us 7-2, but we're feeling good about ourselves going into Sartell because we got to win and so on. So I do like it as well.
And the other thing, Andy, I was talking with Andy before the show was, Class A and B, their state tournament title days or games are 1 and noon and 1 p.m. on either that Sunday or Labor Day Monday. But Class C, it's a 7:00 p.m. in Brownton for the Class C championship under the lights. I do like that.
Definitely.
So they focus that, they push that to the night game, and I think that's awesome.
I'm a sucker for night games. I am super lucky to play in New York Mills because we've had lights my whole life here, and so every home game we make sure it's a night game. And because that's special to us, and so for them to push that to a night game under the lights, I think all of Class C, whoever's there, will love that.
Yep,
I agree. Couldn't agree more. All right, thanks for your time, Josh. Anything else, Andy?
Great. Maybe we'll give you a call after the playoffs. Get your review of how it all went.
Yeah. Sounds good. Stay in touch, guys, and maybe next year you can come up here for a 4th of July game.
I like that.
I'll have to check
All
with
right.
the boss. All right.
All right. Sounds
thank
good.
you.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.